Yemenis mark anniversary of the 26th September revolution and a firm rejection of Houthi coup. Yemeni tribes play a key role in politics and peace building. Hans Grunberg and head of Presidential Council discuss truce extension. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English News with me, Shaz Abdelbey. Celebrating the 60th anniversary of September 26 revolution is a celebration against tyranny. With the Houthi coup, Yemenis are urged to preserve the noble goals of September 26 revolution until the accomplishment. This report has more details.
The 26th of September revolution is the mother of all revolutions in Yemen during the last 60 years. 60 years ago, the Yemeni people revolted against the Imamate rule and aspired to a new state where equal opportunities would be guaranteed. Despite many setbacks and plots that have almost annihilated it and foreign interventions, the Yemeni's glorious revolution still lives in the minds and the hearts of the Yemeni generations. The torch of the revolution on its 60th anniversary was lit in many provinces. The Houthi rebels, however, prevented many people from commemorating the anniversary of the revolution. The government forces in Marib Governorate held an event to celebrate the revolution's feasts. The chief of the general staff, commander of joint operations and the minister of youth and sports marked the launch of the official celebrations. In Saada, the commander of the 1st Brigade led the torch of the September Revolution. The celebration began with playing the national anthem, and Brigadier saluted all the heroes in fighting fronts throughout the national territory. He stressed on the importance of the unity of the national ranks and to mobilize the energies and efforts to confront the militia and their Iranian allies. In Hajj Governorate, Houthi rebels targeted the torch of the anniversary of the September 26th revolution with 5 missiles in separate areas of the city of Miri. Local sources reported that no injuries were recorded, as the bombing targeted the torch after the end of the celebration. Last year, 12 people were killed and 22 were wounded, including civilians, after the rebels targeted September celebrations in Hagga. In the city of Damar, the militia prevented and arrested activists who tried to ignite the torch of the September revolution. This is the 4th incident in a row in which the Houthi militia prevented people from holding any celebration and arrested anyone who tries to commemorate this national occasion. In the same context, multiple sources in the capital Sana'a stated that the Iranian-backed Houthi militia prevented civilians from celebrating the September revolution. People used to set fire on the roofs of their homes as a tradition they have been accustomed to since the outbreak of the revolution.
The Embassy of the Republic of Yemen in Cairo celebrated the 60th anniversary of September 26 revolution. The ceremony was attended by a number of revolution fighters and former statesmen and a gathering of the Yemeni community. This report has more details.
The Yemeni Embassy and the Cultural Center in the Egyptian capital Cairo organized a speech and artistic ceremony on the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the Eternal Revolution of September 26, a new September celebration in the Egyptian lands to commemorate the National Day of the September Revolution and to remind people of this historic day when the Yemeni people were freed from the Imami priesthood, which implicated the country in ignorance, backwardness, disease, and injustice, and Yemenis converted it to a republican system of freedom, pride, and dignity.
Today, we clearly recognize that the generations who came after the 26th September Revolution are feeling for their ancestors' sacrifices represented in many martyrs. That proves to us that backwardness can never be repeated again.
Here, Yemenis remember the role of Egypt under the leadership of the late President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who contributed to this revolutionary achievement through the sacrifices of the Egyptians in releasing the Yemeni lands from the obsolete rule of Imam.
Thanks to noble people, along with the support of other Arab countries like Egypt under the auspices of the departed President Gamal Abdel Nasser, Yemeni people regained their dignity through the September Revolution.
Artistic performances sang about the homeland and the September 26 revolution, which reflected the spirit of young artists who contributed to mobilizing the revolutionary spirit among its heroes, fighters, and participants, which pushed the revolution to continue among successive Yemeni generations.
Every Yemeni enjoys the memory of the 26th September Revolution, as it can't be forgotten. We have to unite to revive this great memory and to remind generations who came after us of the value of this revolution.
The celebration of the 26th of September of each year paints a picture of the struggle, of the great sacrifices made by martyrs, and constitutes values of the lofty revolution. However, Imam grandchildren still dream of returning that back era to life again and suppressing the revolution principles.
The tribes in Yemen have long contributed to shaping the politics of the country. According to some observers, Yemenis depend on tribes to impose the power of state. This report has more details.
Despite that the civil war in Yemen is still going on, yet there are many peace parties who are working on applying peace all over the country. These parties are presented in governmental efforts, international human rights organizations, and surely the Yemeni tribes. The Yemeni conflict is fueled by divided sectors, unequal distributions of resources, and involvement of external powers. These factors have together intensified through the years and complicated Yemen's situation. Decades of mistrust and dissatisfaction with the state mechanism and governance. Tribalism is an influential aspect of Yemeni society. It forms a layer of identity that plays a role in social, political, and security dimensions. Many political leaders have hailed from powerful tribes, like former President Ali Abdullah Saleh, who hailed from the Hashid tribes. The role of tribes have become more independent in Yemen, as tribal governance and traditions came to compensate for the lack of strong central government. Tribals' identities generally lead national identities. In a war-torn country like Yemen, tribal association is more important, therefore becoming a decisive factor in the conflict. Tribes have played a vital role in deciding the war's progression. While the tribes have been instrumental in slowing down the Houthi movement in several provinces, they have also lost many of their families, including the sheikhs or the tribal leaders. Many tribes want to see the war end as early as possible. At this stage, their desperation can sway either way. One possibility is that the tribal leaders could call a truce with the Houthi militia, assuring non-intervention and in return ensuring the safety of the tribal areas. This would mean that the tribes will also not fight for the government forces or support them in any way. The tribes have constantly proven their significance to the identity of the Yemeni society. They have left a positive impact on the Yemeni people in light of this hard situation.
Celebrating the 26th September Revolution reminds Yemenis of defending and fighting the new Imamis represented by the Houthis. This report has more details.
In 2014, the Houthis took over Sana'a, Yemen's capital, under the guise of eliminating corruption and poverty. But what began as a fight against injustice turned out to be nothing more than a power grab disguised as a rebellion. Throughout the battle, the country has experienced profound political, religious, and cultural transformations, ushering in a new era as a theological state. Many Yemenis who initially felt the power grab was merely the next cycle of ruling authority in the country never recovered from the shock of Sana'a's annexation. Over the next 8 years of Houthi control over most northern areas of the country, the rebel group has solidified its ability to thrive under conflict economy. The Houthis' capacity to endure under a system of violence and corruption, where they gain by seizing government property, extorting money from the business community, and stealing aid, has enabled them to become self-sufficient. They have also been able to impose their ideas with force and escape accountability for the people they are in charge of. Many Yemenis believe that the Houthis' unwavering allegiance to Iran, as well as their ideological and theological views, would obstruct efficient rule. While this is understandable, they must also recognize that a lack of fair resolution impedes attempts to resolve the war. Yemen's economic, political, and cultural realms have all suffered as a result of the Houthis' war. The conflict also puts diplomats and mediators in a bind, as they have yet to make real headway in the peace process. Although both the Yemeni government and the coalition are abiding by the most recent truce, which was renewed on August 2nd, the United Nations faces the challenge of persuading the Houthis to fulfill their end of the bargain, which is supposed to include the opening of roads in Taiz Governorate. Hans Grunberg, the United Nations Special Envoy, has focused his efforts on a number of measures aimed at restoring trust between the warring sides. However, given the Houthis' track record of disobedience and their lack of desire to share power, prospects of a breakthrough in the peace process remain unrealistic.
طبعا مدينة تعز تعاني من أزمة مياه، وخاصة في ظل الحرب هذه الفترة هذه.
ما كان يوصل لنا الدبار 20 لتر بصعوبة، نروح نعبي الدباب مشاكل وصياح، نروح وإحنا ضابحين معقدين، نصل وقحنا يعني ما نشتيش الماء كرهنا الحياة. وهي 7 أطفال معي، كيف تكفيهم الدباب؟ أرجع عند الثانية أجي وقايز اللي يقولوا ولا يستخدموني.
President Rashad Al-Alimi met today in Riyadh with the UN envoy to Yemen, Hans Grunberg. The meeting discussed UN efforts to renew the truce and ease the human suffering of the people. He talked about his government's commitment to a comprehensive peace approach based on the Gulf Initiative, decisions of the National Dialogue, and international resolutions. In addition, Grunberg announced that he submitted a proposal to extend the truce as long as possible, and he is waiting for the warring parties to respond. Defense Minister discussed with the European Union ambassador to Yemen the cooperation between terrorist groups represented by the Houthi militia Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The Minister of Defense said the Houthi militia released a number of terrorist elements from prisons and moved them towards the liberated governorates to spread chaos. For his part, the ambassador of the EU expressed his condemnation of the ongoing violations of the UN truce by the Houthi militia. A civilian was killed and 11 others were injured in an explosion at Al Turba south of Taiz. Local sources confirmed that the bomb exploded on a bus carrying the victims, noting that 4 of them were injured. Coming next in the news. Houthi mines shatter lives of a family in Hodeidah.
أقول لك راحت بالغداء لأهلها شلت الغداء وراحت بالأهلها في المزرعة. والمزرعة ركبت على حمار ما حتى نص المزرعة وانفجر فيها اللغم، دعست على اللغم وانفجر فيهم. الحمار انتهى الماء ترى تبقعت رجليها كامل. نغير منها نغير الشبالة اللي هي البيت سابها من دور رجليها اللي صافناها طبية أقرب طبية وصافناها لا هي بطلت رجليها كامل.
قلت أزود هلي وقابل لي لعب وطبعت تحت الزوايا.
Welcome back. Landmines still pose danger to the lives of Yemenis. A recent incident took place in Hodeidah when a Houthi mine exploded in 3 children, killing 1 and injuring 2 others. This report has more details.
Death planted by the Houthis in all the roads, farms and populated areas in Tehama. A mine planted by the hands of the terrorist militia kidnapped the life of the child of this miserable woman, Lina Ahmed Haidari, and severely wounded her 2 young children, Nasser and Sina, causing them a lifelong disability.
It happened all of a sudden. They told me your daughter died. I was horrified when I heard the news. I couldn't believe it at first. My other 2 children were injured and they took them to Al-Makha hospital. The mine exploded, tearing my daughter into parts. My cart was totally destroyed and the donkey died. This is how I gain my daily income to provide for my children. No one is helping us.
The woman's burden weighed heavily on her shoulders. She collapsed in grief and distress for her children. The family is living in a house built of straw that lacks the most basic necessities of life. The 2 children are now disabled in a very young age, living with their old mother in addition to their current suffering of displacement.
The Houthi mine exploded while they were moving from one village to another. A 15-year-old girl died and her 2 siblings were severely injured and they are still in hospital of Makha. This family was displaced to a large village. They suffer from poverty and they lack the basic necessities of life. As you can see, this is their home. They don't own anything. The engineering team visited the site of the accident. We removed mines and explosive devices that were planted on the entrance of this mosque. These mines are internationally illegal and Yemen is among the countries that signed the agreement, but the Houthi rebels randomly planted them in the areas and farms of civilians without any maps.
Despite the intensification of the activities of the specialized teams in the mining and their continuous descent to clear the lands and the liberated areas from mines, the Houthi mines still represent a real threat on Yemeni civilians. Returning to the liberated villages and homes in which the Houthi militia was stationed in the countryside of Hais has become a path fraught with death as a result of mines and explosive devices that the Houthi militia have previously planted randomly and without maps, and it has been waiting for the footsteps of civilians claiming their lives every day.
The World Pharmacist Day is observed every year on September 25 to advocate what they do. This report has more details.
Yemen's pharmaceutical industry faces a number of issues such as medical quality, smuggling, and counterfeiting, and exorbitant pricing that burdens patients and communities. Concerned authorities clarify that although the percentage of smuggled medication is 2 to 3%, they are continuing their efforts to eliminate the phenomenon altogether.
Contrary to rumors, smuggled or counterfeit medications only account for 2 to 3% of all medications supplied. Nevertheless, we are aiming to limit their production. We've launched an electronic website to monitor the side effects of medication. Patients can call to report any unusual side effects.
Among the measures undertaken by competent authorities is the development of a regional reference laboratory to monitor medications and eliminate counterfeiting and smuggling activities.
نعمل على تطوير الهيئة من خلال تأهيل وتدريب العاملين الآن على وشك.
We are working on improving the pharmaceutical sector by rehabilitating and training medical staff. We hope by next year the laboratory would be up and running and that it would be a substantial addition to the medical sector. The first things we monitor in medicines are that they are good quality, effective, safe and affordable.
A project such as a reference laboratory necessitates the training of qualified cadres in the pharmaceutical field to gauge the quality of supplied medication. Coinciding with World Pharmacist Day, scientific and academic institutions and parties interested in the pharmaceutical sector carried out in-depth and specialized scientific meetings and symposia. This was done to hone the skills of pharmacists in order to enhance their humanitarian role and to combat counterfeiting and smuggling practices.
Residents in Aden have complained about the waste and the overflow of sewage water in the neighborhoods and streets. According to the people, the danger of sewage increases with rains and the failure of the garbage trucks to access the dumping sites. The people pointed out that waste mixed with sewage may cause an environmental disaster. Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Yemenis mark anniversary of the 26th September revolution and a firm rejection of Houthi coup. Yemeni tribes play a key role in politics and peace building. Hans Grunberg and head of Presidential Council discuss truce extension. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.